In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast.
This week we dive into separation toilets. Not literally.
And we answer your questions about travelling in Southern Ireland and pay-as-you-go electricity on campsites. Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. And it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Now, please do remember to follow on your favourite podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe and the little bell.
In today's podcast, we're talking about separation and compost toilets, which have become popular in the canal boat world. And now we're seeing them poop up in motorhomes and caravans. Sorry about that. It's a type of toilet that you frowned upon for years. Why have you frowned upon them? I would have thought you'd done something else on them.
I've never really got them, and Maddie, who produces the podcast, has been on at me for ages to do an episode on separation toilets, and they're becoming a thing, Matt. They're becoming more popular. I said, no, they're not. I think in the motorhome world, they haven't been popular because our mainstream factory manufactured toilets have been cassette toilets, typically by brands like Thetford and Dometic.
So quickly, what's the difference between a separation and a cassette?
So a cassette toilet, you put them into this one chamber, you put your paper in there, you put some chemical in there with some water, and the chemical does its thing, it rots it down, and then you pour it into a toilet, and basically it becomes sewage waste, unless you're using a chemical, which isn't a chemical really, a treatment, like Solbio, and then it becomes a composted waste. And you can pour that in the toilet, or you could pour it on your rose bushes. A separation toilet separates the wee from the poo. So it's two separate chambers. So the poo stays dry. You sprinkle some sawdust on it. That dries it out, and there's no smell. And you bag the poo and you dispose of it. And the wee you pour into a toilet or under a tree. But the two types of waste are separated. That's the key bit of information.
But you've still got to bag your poo, haven't you? What do you do?
You do.
Shovel?
And this is why I've frowned on them. It's like, this is horrible. I don't want to be doing this. I mean, it's bad enough pouring the cassette away down into the sewage waster point on the campsite, let alone bagging the poo and picking it out and sprinkling sawdust on it. I don't know. I've just not seen them adopted in the motorhome world. However, recently, there's a brand called Trelino who've been exhibiting in the UK, and they're a great little product, and I've seen more and more people choosing to buy a separation toilet for their campervan conversion. So not necessarily a mainstream converted campervan, although it might be a factory converted by a small converter, but they're choosing to put a separation toilet in them. And as we said earlier, they've been very popular in the boating world, the marine world, for a long time, and I think we're going to see more and more motorhomes and campervan converters using them.
Okay, so you've been talking to somebody, haven't you?
Yeah, I was able to catch up with the team at Trelino at the NEC show in Birmingham and had a look at the product, and I spoke to Daniel from Trelino, and I started by asking him, what is a separation toilet? So Daniel, just tell me, what is a separation toilet?
Yeah, sure thing, Matt. So a separation toilet, if you look at it from the outside, it consists of a body that has on top a toilet seat and a lid that closes the toilet. If you then open that lid, the interior is made out of three main components. It's the separation insert that helps you in an ergonomic way to separate your number ones and number twos. And then in the front, you have a urine canister for the number ones. And in the back, you have a solids container for the number twos. Like I said, the separation insert ensures that the solids and the liquids are collected separately. And with its lowered shape that we can have a look in a minute, the separation insert helps with the principle of gravity, basically, that solid waste falls into the designated container and your number ones are collected into a canister separately. And what that helps with is it prevents the solids and the liquids from being mixed together, which otherwise leads to unpleasant odors that some of your audience might know. And a lot of people don't actually know that your number ones themselves don't normally smell, and neither do your number twos if they're kept dry. So to help with the latter, what we do is you simply, after every session, you use a little bit of the special litter that you can sprinkle over your number twos, and that helps with the drying process. It also binds odors, and then helps that the smell is significantly reduced, and basically your number twos become odorless in that. So that's, in short, the concept of a separating toilet.
Okay, so we'll have a look at some of the product in a minute and some of the wood shavings, as you say. So, Daniel, just tell me a little bit about Trelino. When was it established?
Yeah, so we're still a pretty young company. Our founder, Marcus, created the first separating toilet around 5 years ago in 2020. And he's a passionate camper and also a production engineer. And at the time, he wasn't happy with the toilet solutions that were in the market around then. And he wanted to be less dependent on camping site infrastructure. And he's pretty environmental conscious, so he didn't want to spend a lot of water. He didn't want to use chemicals. So what he did is he designed and engineered the first Trelino separating toilet in 2020. And that's also the Trelino Origin that you have next to you in the studio right now. And
do we have a look at one? Let's have a look at one in the flesh. Can we start with the Evo S?
Sorry, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep talking. This is the Evo S.
Let's absolutely do that. Yes.
So this is plastic design.
That's our yes, that's actually made out of ABS plastic, Matt. So that's the same plastic that also the Danish toys company uses for their famous bricks that kids love to play with.
Lego.
And you said it there. Yes, exactly. And that's the lid and the separation insert that has the ergonomic design as a seat and also separates your number ones and number twos right away. That's the insert, the inside of the body that we talked about. So your number ones flow into a canister.
So
and that's the solid container. Yes, that's for number twos. You put a bag in there, and that helps you with emptying that once it's full.
And that's for number ones?
That's for number ones. Has a capacity here for 5 liters. And in the largest model, the Evo L, it would go up to 10 liters. And that's the separation through the separation insert and how it looks on the inside, how you can use it.
So I'm going to bring in... This one's a lot heavier. This is the Origin.
Yes. Yes.
So this one can be used as a step or a seat.
You can actually, yes, because it has a wooden lid that's held with magnets to the body of the toilet, exactly. So you can take that off and then sit right on it. The principle is the same. That's actually, as the name is already hinting at, the original product that Marcus developed in 2020. Same mechanism of a separation insert. And then the body looks basically identical, where you have a urine canister for the number ones. You also have a small container for the number twos. And that's the same setup that we just looked at with the Evo. Exactly.
Okay, I'm getting it. So,
cool. That makes sense. And it's actually funny that at the time, the term separating toilet wasn't really well known, not even in Germany 5 years ago. So based on Marcus's work, what he was doing is the term became more well known. Today, it's well established in Germany. And the URL of meinetrenntoilette.de, which is literally in English, my separating toilet, is still owned by our company. It was the initial website. And that shows a bit that that's the time a small movement started. And today We also see that happening in the United States, where we started selling 3 years ago. And we think that now also in the UK, that movement is slowly starting. And 5 years after being founded, we sold over 50,000 Trelino separating toilets all across the globe. And we are nevertheless, we have global availability for the product, but we are also super local. So we are based in Düsseldorf, in the heart of Germany. We engineer, we design our products in-house, supported by our founder, Marcus, who is still on board. And we also manufacture the toilets in Germany and just a few kilometers away from our offices, and using the modern production processes and also high quality materials that we talked about. And we are a small but passionate team, and we are trying to make lives of campers even easier, and super proud of our customer service as well, where we have a dedicated line for UK customers as well. Works over the phone, over WhatsApp, over email, and we try to get back to everybody same day, latest next day. And that's where we are happy to consult customers, Matt, if they have any questions before purchasing an item, and are happy to help out.
Well, I can vouch for the friendliness and helpfulness of the team, having met some of them in the UK at a show in Birmingham, and they are lovely, really helpful and very knowledgeable. Very
Appreciate it.
Daniel, give them my best, please. Tell me then about the wood chip. Now, it comes with this wood chip. This is what you sprinkle on the number 2. I think you've got
exactly
in a tray. Is that right?
Yes. So we can also show that briefly. So how it looks like, it's granular pressed wood chips that you can apply by hand or with a little cup or small shovel. And what you do after every session, you sprinkle that over your number 2s. And the characteristics of that is that it has a very high capacity to absorb humidity. And that helps to dry the number 2s. And it's at the same time, it's easy to apply. It's very sustainable, fully compostable. And it's worth mentioning that it's created from sawmill dust. So it's not that we're felling trees to create that product. So also in that sense, I think it's a great solution. And which is the part that I was talking about in the beginning that helps you to keep your separating toilet odorless over time when you're using it.
So the wood chip dries the poo up is the bottom line, and therefore it doesn't smell. So when it's not mixed with liquid, it has no odor. And so the wood shavings achieve that dry state and therefore odorless. The important thing—
That's a perfect summary.
—is you need to line the number 2 chamber with a bag, don't you?
Yes, I would do that. It simply makes the cleaning of the solids container much easier. And the way you can do that is we have bags out of recycled plastic, for example, like this. And we also offer composting bags that you can then compost at a later stage, whatever you prefer.
Okay, so 2 types of bag. One is biodegradable. Like in this country, we put our food waste in. You may do in Germany as well.
It's quite similar, actually.
And then the other type is a recycled plastic bag that isn't compostable. And the idea of that, as I understand, you seal it and you dispose of that into a bin.
Exactly. So when your solids container for the number 2s with the litter that you sprinkle over it is full, or if your trip stops, you would remove that recycled plastic bag, seal it. And then every country is a bit different, but the feedback we're getting from UK customers is that the number 2s don't qualify as offensive waste. So they can be disposed in the regular household waste as long as they're below 7 kilograms. And I don't know about you, Matt, but from my experience, getting above 7 kilograms of number twos is quite ambitious.
Yeah.
And it's also the fact that we dry the number twos off with the Trelino litter. That also helps. So it's not poo in a bag. It's basically becoming dry and more granular, like powdery. And it's nothing. It has nothing wet. If you have remaining doubts, please double check with your local authorities if there are any special regulations that apply. If you're using the compostable bags that we have, second type of bags, and you are in remote locations, for example, you can also use them to bury them as a solid waste in the degradable bag in the ground.
Okay, so we've got some comment from local councils and local waste management companies, which I'm going to read out later, because that's the bit of this process that concerns me, and I'm sure is the elephant in the room, as we say in the UK, is what do I do with my poo? But firstly, what do I do with my wee? So where do you empty the number one?
Yes. So what you do if the urine canister is full, you can put that in any toilet that is connected to a sewage system, for example, at home or at a campsite or a rest stop. We also have customers who carry a spare canister with them, and then they take the liquids home after their trip if they're on a journey over the weekend, if it's not too long. If you dilute your number ones, we have customers that even use that as a fertilizer. Maybe interesting if you have a garden or allotment plot with the appropriate plants that might even benefit from that.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people that are living in a motorhome or camper van using a separation toilet or creating a separation effect. With a traditional toilet, they will just pour the number one under a tree, and that kind of gets frowned upon, I suppose. But the important thing you told me before was if you're on medication, then you need to have a higher level of awareness of what you're doing with your human waste.
Yes, exactly. That's also feedback from the UK. For example, if you are told by medical staff that you have an infection, then your number twos shouldn't go in the regular household litter, but treated separately. I think it's called a tiger bag in the UK. But if you are healthy, then it applies what we were talking about earlier.
Okay, yeah. Now, this is not, though, is it, a composting toilet? You have used the phrase composting several times. This is a separation mechanism that you could put into a composting box or reciprocal of some sort. This is not a composting loo, is it?
I think that's a great way to put it, Matt. The process of actually composting your remains takes several weeks of a process. That's not what a Trelino is designed for. But like you put it, yes, you can start the process, use the compostable bags, and then start a composting outside of the separating toilet. A benefit of this drying off with exactly the right amount of litter in our models is that you are not really creating a moist environment where you don't need a ventilation system or something to extract humidity or moist air. So that also helps to be super versatile in the application of your toilet or move it around if you want.
Yeah. So the main benefits then of a Trelino separation toilet is no water. That's a big plus.
Yep.
No chemical.
Yep. Exactly.
That has to be a good thing. And ease of dealing with your waste after your trip or during your trip.
Yeah. No, I would fully agree to that, Matt. And maybe to add the versatility is also something that our customers appreciate a lot. You can install separating toilets permanently. You can use it as a mobile toilet on the road. You can move it around in your camper if more space is required, or if you are using it in your bathroom to shower, then you put it out, back in. And the Evo M that you have next to you is only 4.3 kilograms. If you go for the slightly smaller model, that's below 4 kilograms. So that means you can move it easily whenever it's needed, also for cleaning or extra space, and that creates that versatility. That's, I think, another big plus.
Now, when people buy a Trelino, it comes with a bag of the wood chip, the sawdust. Yeah.
Actually, it's not included in the toilet because we have that and another litter that's also great, slightly different characteristics. So we want to give customers the choice. So if you go for a Trelino, I would just look for a starter set and buy that with you, and you're ready for your trip or holiday right away.
And can you then choose two between the recycled plastic or recyclable dissolvable bags and the non-dissolving bags?
With the toilet, the recycled bags always come. They're included in the product with no extra charge. The compostable ones or more of the recycled one, you would need to buy as an add-on. The reason is that customers also tell us that they, just for safety reasons, if the compostable bag of the number 2s composts more quickly than they were expecting, then having a fail-safe with a recycled plastic bag comes in very handy to avoid unnecessary cleaning. So we would put the recycled bags on the bottom in any case, and then the recycled ones on top. So that's what comes with the toilet. But of course, you can buy the compostable ones on our website with the product as well.
So double bag your number 2 is your advice.
Perfect summary. Yeah, that would be my advice. I'll sign that. Yes.
Okay. So as we record this, are you able to tell us some ideas of prices of the products?
Yeah.
You have that information.
Sure. So for UK customers, you would simply go to Trelino.com, order directly from there. Prices in pound. You see that our Evo models, the smallest one starts at £299 for the Evo S model in white. Then if you go up in size and capacity of the urine tank as well, an Evo M, the medium, is priced at £399. And then our largest model, Evo L, is £499. Interesting, shipping is free above £129. So that's applicable for all the separating toilets, and also important for UK customers. The VAT 20% is directly included in the store. There are no further costs for customs or import duties. So basically what you see in the shop is what you get. That's all you will pay. And we are so confident in the product that we give this 30 days free return period. And I'm not sure when you wanted to talk about it, Matt, but for your audience and listeners and viewers, we actually had something special in store as well that we can also talk about.
Okay, well, we'll share some more details on that in a moment. So tell me, the 30-day return, I assume it has to be unused.
That would be preferred, yes, to return it unused. A typical return case is that you try to measure the exact space, then you see it in the flesh, you try to fit it in, and then you realize, oh, I need a model smaller or larger. That's a typical discussion that we have. Super happy to help out any client with that. But yeah, we try to help clients. If you call us and tell us what's the problem, we will try to help you out. But the big preference of our logistics partners and our team is to get unused toilets back. Yes.
Of course. Brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much, Daniel, for coming on. And can I also say thank you for adopting the very British term of number 1 and number 2?
You're very welcome, and thanks for having us and explaining a bit more about separating toilets. And wish you and your audience a great start into the camping season 2025.
Thank you ever so much, Daniel. Great to see you as always.
That's Daniel Lackman, Head of Strategic Corporate Development and Sales at Trelino. By the way, if you use the code Motorhome Matt at trelino.com, that's TRELINO.com, you can get a free accessory set when you buy a Trelino toilet. That's use the code Motorhome Matt. So, Matt, what are the main pros and cons of using one of these toilets?
I think the main one and the first one is there's no need for using chemicals. There's less smell, in theory. I have to say, I've not actually used one. I ought to try one, really, didn't I? I don't
and
know.
Live right now on the podcast.
Oh, no, we're not doing that. I think the eco-friendliness of them is a given, again, to a point, and they are off-grid friendly. So you don't need any water. You don't need any kind of energy to treat it. It's just your waste doing its thing. You just need to bag your poo and bottle your wee. And there are cons, of course. You need to empty your wee daily. They are expensive. They're more expensive than a porta potty. You need to consider storing your waste. So if you are going to store your poo bagged, you need to put it somewhere until you can find somewhere to dispose it. And I guess the ick factor, which is where I trip up with these and go, as you did.
So the big question, how and where can you legally dispose of your waste in the UK?
And that is the elephant in the room. That is the big topic here in the UK specifically. This is where I am uncomfortable with people doing this. I know lots of people that live in a van full time choose to use a separation toilet technique. They might use a cassette toilet, but pee into a bottle or some kind of reciprocal, and then pour that under a tree.
The trucker's toilet.
The trucker's toilet, yeah, the empty Coke bottle. I know loads of people that do this.
Other fizzy drink bottles are available.
Okay. Of course, Mr. BBC. But I know loads of people that do this, and they go, what's the problem? It's not really nice, is it? But then, rain comes and it washes away, I suppose. And then their poo they dispose of in a bag, in a bin. And
what, an ordinary bin?
Yeah,
a litter bin.
A litter bin, a dustbin.
It's bad enough having dog poo in there.
Well, and so this is the argument. And people say, yeah, but we put dog poo in dog poo bins. Yeah, but my dog doesn't eat a lovely steak from the farm shop.
And doesn't have human diseases.
Well, there we go. So,
or doesn't take human prescriptions.
And as you heard earlier, Trelino make the point, if you're on loads of medication, you need to be very mindful of that, about where you're putting your waste. So I thought, I'm really not sure about this. If I was a dustman, or what do they call now, a refuse technician, I wouldn't feel very happy handling your bagged poo. So I thought I would go and speak to the people that deal with our waste. So I approached the company that deal with our waste here. They're called Ash Group. And Steve, who is the Health, Safety, Environmental Quality Director at Ash Group, replied with, your email is an early contender for random email of the month.
He then went on to say, our policy would be to not allow this sort of waste in our bins. It would require a specialist waste collection, but we wouldn't permit it in the general waste stream due to the below.
From a hygiene perspective, the waste is taken back to our waste transfer stations, where the waste may be manually sorted to extract readily recyclable material. Not something you would want to be doing if there is human waste.
Machinery and vehicles are also routinely cleaned. Not a nice thought that you'll be washing somebody else's toilet waste. This waste is classed as offensive. Legislation only allows up to 7 kilograms or a single bag to be mixed with other waste per collection cycle. This includes nappies.
Now that's the point that people always make, is they say, well, we put baby poo in their nappies in the bin. Yeah, but again, the baby's eating milk. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's a different waste, and I think that's an important point. So it can create health risks by putting it in the dustbins, and maybe on the continent it's an accepted practice to put it in the mainstream dustbin. But here is certainly not the case. I also spoke to Jane Williams from Bath and North East Somerset Council, local council to us. We refer to them as Baines here. Baines recommends motorhome visitors to the area to book into a commercial touring park to responsibly dispose of any waste. Council car parks do not permit overnight stays in live-in vehicles, different topic, and do not have and toilet disposal facilities available for the disposal of toilet waste.
And North Somerset Council gave us a statement. Anyone who chooses to use a separated toilet needs to have a composting plan in place for the waste produced. Also, if you're looking for tips on composting human waste, there's a huge amount of useful information about this on the Canal and River Trust website, with the very easily remembered website address of canal-river-trust.org.uk/boating/go-boating/boat-facilities-water-points-and-separator-hyphen-toilets. Shall I repeat that?
Yeah, this time a bit slower.
Yeah. Thanks, North Somerset Council.
I'll tell you what, let's put that in the description.
So what should you look for then? Choosing a separation toilet.
Shorter URLs. I think size and ease of cleaning it is key. Build quality. Trelino are really good. I mean, if you are in the market for a separation toilet, they are lovely, and they do a whole range of them. They are really nice. Replaceable parts and maintenance is key. And I think access to the facilities you want in it. So the different types of bag, whether it's compostable, recyclable, the sawdust and spare parts for it, they're key. So choose one carefully.
So is a separation toilet the right choice for you?
I think if you're off-grid camping a lot, or dare I use the phrase wild camping, you know what I mean, then they could be. If you don't have access to mainstream sewage or somewhere you can dispose your waste sensibly and clinically, then they could be an option. The urine, arguably, you can dispose of that into nature, and nature will deal with it. If you're bagging your poo and you have a composting plan in place, so you've got some kind of composting box, but bear in mind it takes months for human waste to compost down, then that's an option as well. Otherwise, you need somewhere to store it. I want to go back to what Jane said, is that if you are composting your poo, so you're putting the sprinkles of sawdust on it to dry it out, that should not go down a toilet, or she called it an Alsan point. It's dry waste and it can block the sewers, so be really careful of that, because our wastewater treatment companies won't thank you for blocking the sewage with composting human waste. So be mindful of that. So you do need to have a plan if you're going to use a separation toilet on what you're going to do with the waste.
And if you, I'm speaking as a gardener now, if you are growing your own vegetables, do not put human compost on vegetables, things that you're going to consume. Fine on your roses, like Matt said earlier, or on the flowers, but do not put it on something that you're going to eat for all the reasons we described, illnesses, diseases and prescription drugs.
Yeah, no, very good point, very good point. I think if you're considering making the change, you need to think about it carefully. The big thing I think you need to be mindful of is a plan for your waste once you've dealt with it. The benefits are no smell, no need for water, potentially no need for chemicals. It's interesting talking to Solbio. They sell a lot of Solbio to people that use separation toilets because that speeds up the composting process of the poo, which makes sense. But you need to have a plan if you are going to use one. And is it right for you? And you can answer that. For me, I'm quite happy with my cassette toilet where I mix the two together, the poo and the wee and the paper, and I use Solbio, which keeps my cassette clean, turns it into compost waste. I can pour it into a mainstream sewer, and I could, if I left it long enough, pour it on my roses.
Yeah, great idea. Take it with you.
You carry it around.
Yeah, take your dried composting poo with you.
I think you could spot a separation toilet user by that little bag hanging on the back of the motor.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Like dog walkers hanging off the back of them.
Like throwing them in the trees. You don't do that. Just take it home with you, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, I think they're an innovative product, and they definitely have a place, especially in a van conversion where the option is a porta potty. This is a great alternative, and they are beautiful to look at from the outside, and they become a lovely step or a seat to literally sit on, and not necessarily when you're using it. So they definitely have a place. So it's an interesting topic. For me, I say I'm happy currently with my cassette toilet.
So, Matt, you've mentioned a few weeks ago you've started using NORDVPN when you're travelling. So what's the biggest difference that it actually makes?
Honestly, peace of mind. Whether I'm on dodgy Wi-Fi at a cafe or using a campsite's hotspot, I know my connection and my data is secure, and it means I can watch TV wherever I am as well.
So no more, this content isn't available in your region messages.
Exactly. It just works. I've streamed TV in the van, checked my banking, and never had a problem. And once you've set it up, it just runs quietly in the background. In fact, you forget it's even there.
All right, so how do people get it then?
Just head to nordvpn.com/Motorhome Matt, and that link gives you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan.
And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee as well, so nothing to lose.
Yep, that link again. It's nordvpn.com/Motorhome Matt, and the link's also in the episode description.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
It's brought to you with That Leisure Shop and sponsored by Ripe. Okay, it's the Q&A, the questions and answers. First of all, we're going to hear from... Oh, I didn't say it. I've got to say it. That's where you ask the questions and Matt, he answers them. But if he doesn't know, he'll ask somebody who does. Ben Houghton, or is that Horton, got in touch?
Hi Matt, it's Ben from North Somerset. I just wanted to say a big thank you for recommending Ripe motorhome and campervan insurance. We got a fantastic competitive quote for our Adria Twin and got precisely what we wanted by being able to tailor exactly the right level of cover for our van and also our needs. 15% off was a real bonus too. Fantastic work. Thanks so much.
Cheers, Ben. Remember, you can get 15% off your insurance premium by using the code Motorhome Matt over the phone, or simply click the link in the description. That's the code Motorhome Matt on the telling bone. Phil Millard's in Stockport. He's thinking of touring Southern Ireland in his motorhome. Are there rules that differ from travelling in the UK? We had this one, didn't we? Was it a week or so ago?
Yeah, I must have said something wrong. So Ireland is not part of what's called the Schengen zone.
No.
So the rules for going there never has been.
Yeah.
So there's no 90-day limit. So you can stay in Ireland as long as you want. There's no restrictions at all. Take your passport. You're going to need to present that, but there are no restrictions on how long you can stay. So no, there are no 90-day
because of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland and the independence of the Republic, the beginning of the 20th century, we've had the common agreement between the GB and Ireland, and it was entered into again when we Brexited, and Ireland were given an EU sort of, what would you call it? They said they could
do exemption.
An exemption. And so we have a common travel area, okay? The only difference is Irish people can, funnily enough, vote in our elections, but we can't vote in theirs. But apart from that, you might as well be living in the same country. Nigel Brown's in Oakhampton. Hi, Matt. We are new to campervanning, so please excuse our novice opinions. We recently visited an independent site which uses Metamax to resell their electricity at commercial rates and left the balance in place in case we visit again. We now want to stay at a KMAC site that has just started using the same Metamax portal. Greaty maxi wax. What is all this mean, Matt? And can you answer the question?
So caravan and motorhome club sites.
Yeah, he says the problem is when you create an account with Metamax, it is for the site/vendor. So a new account required for different vendors. A little odd, as you have to have another email address and password.
That's rubbish. He goes on to say, then I find out there's no way to transfer funds between accounts, so you have to fund another amount. Also, their terms and conditions suggest that the last £5 of the fund is not refundable. How difficult is it for these people to make a portal? Now I have to remember which email and password I use to access each vendor. They do not understand customer experience at all.
It's easy, just have ABC1.
That's really annoying.
This is the password. No, don't.
That's very frustrating. So this is a new technology where you pay for the electric and you pay as you go. It's a trend we're seeing on more and more campsites. I think it's a fair way of dealing with electrical consumption, because if you're in a great big motorhome drawing loads of power next to a person in a tent who only wants to charge their phone, it's not fair that you pay the same. So it's a good thing, but it's a new technology. It obviously needs ironing out. I would make a complaint to MeterMax and point this out to them. They maybe haven't even thought about it, that the fact you want to visit different campsites. Obviously you do. But yeah, otherwise you're going to end up with 100 email addresses and 100 passwords. It'd just be a nightmare. So I've not spoken to MeterMax about this. If you are listening and you've had a similar problem, let me know. Perhaps we can present it to them and get them on for comment. But I think MeterMax, if you're listening, is something you need to address, because this is not a good customer experience.
Not email address.
No. Could you respond with 100 email addresses and 100 passwords, please?
You respond to us. I'll send you 100, yeah. Okay, let's have a quick update. We had a listener, a viewer to the podcast who was 90 years old and couldn't get insurance. Did he manage to do it in the end?
So a few weeks ago, I think it was Peter, his name, he was 90 years old and left a message on the podcast Q&A facility, and he's over 90, couldn't get insured, wants to motorhome. And I didn't have an answer for him. And thank you to all those of you that have messaged us on YouTube and social media with your advice. There is an insurer who will insure over 80s and even over 90s. Their website is ageco.co.uk, and it's a specific policy underwritten by LV, Liverpool, Victoria, for older drivers, and they will cover you to drive a motorhome. So they no doubt are going to have lots of questions about your health and about your driving history, but it is the case that they will insure you.
You can get insurance. That's the important thing.
Thank you to everyone that gave us that tip.
And what's that address just one more time?
Ageco, ageco.co.uk.
How do people get in touch if they need to then, Matt?
We'd love it if you did. If you've got a question, please ask it. So you head to mhmp.info/ask Matt, click the orange button, record your question, or you can fill out the form and we'll read it for you.
Or you can leave us a review at mhmp.info/review. That's mhmp.info/review. And if somebody is tubing on the U, what do they do?
Tubing on the U? Is that like a meme?
Yes, it's like a meme. Yes.
Or a meme, as the rest of us call it. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe, click the bell, and leave a comment. I do try and reply to all the comments and questions that get left there. Most of them are really friendly, and we really appreciate it, so get involved.